Okay, now we're going to find the area of a triangle, and we're going to explore this a little bit. So you're probably wondering why Mr. Ayers has two rectangles here, but we'll talk about that in a second. The reason is because we know how to find the area of a rectangle. Okay? The area of a rectangle is length times width. Or another way we could say that is base times height. Okay? Where the base is this bottom right here, and the height is this up and down. Okay, this straight up and down. Notice the word I use, it's straight up and down. Notice this is a 90-degree angle right here, so our height has to go straight up and down at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so that's very important to keep in mind. Well, the reason, here, let's put that back there. The reason why we drew rectangle is because I can make triangles out of my rectangle. Okay, if I do this, okay, Mr. Ayers has split this into two different triangles. Alright? Well, if the area of a rectangle is base times height, what did we do to our rectangle? We took it and we cut it into two pieces. Okay? So that means that the area of one of these triangles is the area of the rectangle cut in two. So we can say that the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so it's base times height cut in half. It's the formula for the area of a rectangle cut into 2. Or another way is 1/2 times base. Okay, let's try that again. Another way to write that is 1/2 times base times height. Okay, it's half of the base times height. So the area formula for a triangle is one of these two things. Okay? Well, now what if I did this? What if I drew a different kind of triangle? Okay? So let's look at this triangle right here that Mr. Ayers just drew in. So if I did this, okay, I've got a problem. And that's, I have a base right here, but where's my height? Okay? When we looked at this rectangle, we said the height had to be a straight up and down line. Okay? This line goes from the bottom to the top of the shape, or from the top to the bottom. So our base has to be a line that goes from the bottom to the top of our shape, or from the top to the bottom. So the height is right there. Okay? So the height is an imaginary line sometimes that goes from the top to the bottom of the triangle. But it's got to go straight up and down. So when we talk about the height, we got to know it's a straight up and down line. Alright, and for our last example, let's use this area formula. Okay, objective 3 is to find the area of a triangle. Okay, the area of a triangle. So first we need our formulas. Remember, we got area equals base times height divided by 2, or area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. Okay, either one of these formulas works the same way. Now, the tricky thing here is you got to be careful with the base and the height and picking out which one is which out of all your sides. Okay, then we'll talk about how to do that here. So, let's go to the first example, A. First thing I always want you to do is write down the formula for the area of a triangle. Okay, you can pick either one. It doesn't bother me which one you want to pick here. I'm going to alternate them, meaning use different ones in different examples. So we'll start with the first one. Area equals base times height divided by 2. So again, every time you do one of these problems, I want you to write down this formula first. Okay. Now the base is always the side that forms a 90-degree angle with the height. Okay? Remember we said the height has to go straight up and down. So if you look at A, the easy one to pick out is the height. The height's right here. It goes straight up and down. Okay? And the base is always going to be the one that forms the 90-degree angle with the height. So that's this side right here. Okay? Because these make a 90-degree angle together. So we got my straight up and down height and my base form a 90-degree angle. So area equals my base is down here this time. It's 8 times my height, which is, again, the one that forms a 90-degree angle with the base, divided by 2. Well, we know 8 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. And we got to divide that by 2. And 48 divided by 2 is 24. Now we need a label, and it's inches, and of course area is always squared. Make sure you're labeling things correctly too. Okay? Now let's go on to the next example. B. This time we'll use the other formula. Area equals 1/2 of the base times the height. Okay? 1/2 times base times height. So again, first we got to pick out the base and the height. Remember, the base and the height are the ones that make a 90-degree angle together. Okay? Well, look for your 90-degree angle first. Here's my 90-degree angle. That means my height is the straight up and down one. My height is 6 right here. Okay? Well, then my base, now notice the height is outside of this shape right here. So this isn't really included in the shape at all. But we need an imaginary straight up and down line. So here's the height, and my base is just this part right here, this 6 centimeters. So area is 1/2 times my base, which is 6. Again, my base is right here, because if I extend it out, it forms a 90-degree angle with the height. And then my height is 6 as well. Now I do want you to note these dotted lines, these aren't really a part of my triangle. Okay? My triangle is right here. The dotted lines are imaginary so that we can fill out this formula, so that we have a height, okay, and we can see where it's at. Well, let's go back to our formula here. Area is 1/2 times 6. That means 1/2 of 6. That's 3. And 3 times 6 is 18. And again, we need a label. We're in centimeters, and area is always squared. Okay? And let's go on to the last example. This one's a little tricky. Okay, example C. We'll use the 1/2 of the base times the height formula again, because Mr. Ayers likes that one, and it's one that you should really know. Okay, so again, we got to pick out the base and the height. The key thing to look for is the 90-degree angle. That tells you what sides to use for the base and the height. So what happened here is our triangle is actually turned a little bit. Okay, it's turned kind of funny. So my base is right down here where I formed the 90-degree angle. So 8 is my base. And my height is this imaginary dotted line. It's 7. Okay, it's the one that goes from the bottom to the top of the shape. So really this triangle just kind of got turned a little bit is what happened. So my base is 8 and my height is 7. And again, we could tell that by looking for our 90-degree angle here, where the two sides meet the 90-degree angle. So area equals 1/2 of the base, which is 8, and the height, which is 7. Do I want you to fill in the formula like this every time on your assignment? Absolutely I do, so make sure you're doing that. Same thing on your test. Okay? Make sure we're writing the formula first, then filling in the correct numbers, and then we'll solve it. Okay? Well, area equals 1/2 of 8. That's 4 times 7, and 4 times 7 is 28. And we're in meters, and we got to have it squared. Okay? So again, key things to look for when you're finding the area of any triangle is for that 90-degree angle. So my 90-degree angle with my base and my height. Here we had a 90-degree angle with my base and my height. And then here we had a 90-degree angle with my base and my height. So always look for those to figure out where your base and your height are at. Okay? If you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, good luck on your homework.